A pleasant day, everyone. We are here to discuss about the negligence on our agricultural sector, life of our Filipino rice farmers. Many of you may think it's not your problem at all because you are in urban area and living comfortably with good bed and food to eat every day. And some may think this topic is interesting and need to be addressed. First, why we need to get involved? It's because all the food we eat with a cheap price comes from our local farmers. We will get hungry without them. But basically, and if you eat, it concerns you. Farmers are those people who are working hard to feed you every day. Negligence on farmers not only a problem here in the Philippines, but it is also a problem across the globe. That's the fact. Just think what happened if you have money but there's nothing to buy. Can you eat those cash? As a person who once experienced to live in province and have farmer relatives, know how poor our local farmers, especially in remote area, as well as how much farmers deserve to have a quality living and overall welfare. The local farmers only depend their living on their harvest, and they even not sure that all of this would be harvested. Irony, Philippines isn't really an agricultural country. We lack in irrigation. Luzon is the nation's rice capital but only have Cagayan River for sustaining the irrigation. All the palay put in waste when natural phenomenon like El Nino driven droughts, not to mention here the typhoons, volcanic eruptions, floods, earthquakes. According to Jack Chirambulo, unlike other countries that highly developed in terms of technological advancement, Philippines farmers are still behind. We are not yet globally competitive in farming sector. Yes, we have agricultural technicians, but still are not enough. In an interview to Mr. Ramon Ovilla, one of our farmers in Albay, stated that farming is not an easy job. They make it from scratch, follows the different complicated process. It is hard before COVID. How much now that global pandemic arises? It makes even harder, especially in terms of irrigation. He assigned to look after the main dam at Mount Isarog, but due to lockdown, the dam has been shut out. This causes devastating impact on their rice farms. Year 2018, they experienced local depression Usman that brought massive flooding that destroyed agricultural infrastructure and farmland. The year after Typhoon Tisoy walked the province wrote the same damage. In between, they experienced El Nino, which drive all farmlands and triggered infestation. Our farmers in Albay lost not only their crops, but also their houses, like Mr. Oliver. But the saddening part is that they received no aid. They received no support for their recoveries. According to Kilusang Mangbubukid sa Bicol, they try to recover on their own but due to the large damage, they couldn't. They are not yet recovered, but the COVID-19 pandemic hit the Philippines wherein we placed under enhanced community quarantine. It have to be a burden on our farmers and traders as their movement are restricted. For rice farmer in Camarinesor, Mr. Noel Abiao stated that travel restrictions are end up rescheduling their market visit have resulted to additional costs. On top of this, there's one thing that added to their burden: the rice tarification law. According to Philstar, our local farmers lost 68 billion due to the effects of rice tarification law. Based on the Federation of Free Farmers, the average retail price of regular milled rice declined by 2.61 pesos per kilogram, while 1.99 pesos per kilo for well-milled rice. Imagine how they could survive for these prices. Our government chose to import rice than enhancing productivity of our rice farmers. Government and retailer bought their crops for low price and sell it in a high price in the market. We need to help our local farmers. We must support local crops. Imagine what futures of our next farmer generations. Or the question is, do we have next generation farmers?
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so,
It may sound strange to bring up work, but when we fall in love, we often consider what that love will do to our life. And our work, and all working couples face hard choices, and this can feel like a zero-sum game. One partner gets offered a job in another city, so the other needs to leave their job and start over. One partner takes on more childcare and puts their career on hold so the other can pursue an exciting promotion. One gains and one loses. And while some couples who make these choices are satisfied, others regret them bitterly. What makes them different? Based on my observation, working couples and I've found that it's not what couples choose, it's how they choose. Of course, we can control our circumstances, nor do we have limitless choices. But for those who do, how can couples choose well? First, start early, long before you have something to decide. The moment you're faced with a hard choice, say whether one of you should go back to school or take a risky job offer. It's true. Choosing well begins with understanding each other's aspirations early on. Aspirations like wanting to start a small business, live close to extended family, save enough money to buy a house of our own, or have another child. Many of us measure our lives by comparing what we're doing with our aspirations. When the gap is small, we feel content. When it's large, we feel unhappy. And if we are a part of a couple, we place at least some of that blame with our partner. Set aside time at least twice a year to discuss your aspirations. I'm a big fan of keeping a written record of these conversations. Putting pen to paper with our partners help us to remember each other's aspirations and that we're writing the story of our lives together. Next, eliminate options that don't support the like of you. Want to live together? You can do this agreeing on boundaries that make hard choices easier. Boundaries like geography. Where would you like to live and work? Time. How many working hours a week will make family life possible? Travel. How much work travel can you really stand? Once you've agreed to your boundaries, the choice becomes easy when faced with an opportunity that falls outside of them. I'm not going to interview for that job because we've agreed we don't want to move across the country. Or I'm going to cut back on my overtime because we've agreed it's essential we spend more time together as a family. Couples who understand each other's aspirations and commit to strong boundaries can let go of seemingly attractive opportunities without regret. If you're faced with an opportunity that falls within your boundaries, then what matters is that the choices you make keep your couple in balance over time, even if they don't perfectly align with both partners' aspirations at the same time. If your choices are mainly driven by one partner or support one partner's aspirations more than the other, an imbalance of power will develop. That imbalance, I've found, is the reason most working couples who fail do so. Eventually, one gets fed up with being a prop rather than a partner. To avoid this, track your decisions over time. Unlike your aspirations and boundaries, there's no need to keep a detailed record of every decision you make. Just keep an open conversation going about how able each of you feel to shape decisions that affect you both. How will you know you've chosen well? One common misunderstanding is that you can only know what choices is right in hindsight. And maybe it's true we judge life backwards, but we must lead it forwards. I found that couples who look back on a choice as a good one did so not just because of the outcome. Eventually, they did it because that choice empowered them individually and as a couple as they made it. It wasn't what they chose. It was that they were choosing deliberately and that made them feel closer and freer together.
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so.
Good day, everyone. I'm going to talk to you about my experience from others' expectations. All of us have a problem in losing, right? Because losing increases our low self confidence, the part that we might disappoint our family and hurt our pride. For the past few months, my grades kept on decreasing, and the fear of disappointing my parents and classmates was the only thing on my mind at those times. Because they all known me and recognized me as one of the intelligent in our class. Disclaimer, I'm not bragging about myself. This is just my experience. It gave me a lot of pressure and it makes me feel so little. But then I suddenly ask myself, am I just doing this for others and not for myself? Why do I need to do this when they are just bragging about me? Why do I need to win when in the first place I'm just a normal and average person who just pretends to be a genius when I'm with them? Why was that? I started to think of myself and kept on praying. I asked God if it is the right time for me to give myself a break and show them that I'm just an average person who sometimes win and lose. Like, I want to do things freely on my own. I only found out recently that one of my closest acquaintance has also experienced this, and that was my cousin. People only tend to like you because they just like what you did once. But based on my experience, I advise to you that you should not get affected by those people's eyes and words. You just have to do your own business because you won't lose anything. In conclusion, in life, you don't need to pretend just to get others' attention and do things freely on your own that makes you feel happy because the higher they expect from you, the higher chance that they will judge you when you fail.
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so.
I'm here to talk to you about bullying because of physical appearance. I'm here to share with you guys my experience of being bullied because of my flat nose, flat chest, and my skinny body. We tackled about body shaming. There's so many of you who's experienced bullying by their own looks. In my own experience, throughout my school, I was called skinny. When I was growing up, I was very skinny. And I used to get bullied for being too skinny, flat nose, and skinny body. For a long time, I hate myself so much. I hated how I look, my thin body, my flat nose, my skinny body. I felt so ugly. I always said to myself, why my boobs weren't as big as other girls. Having a flat chested made me feel less confident of a woman, and it caused me to experience such deep insecurity. I find myself looking in the mirror. I felt so disappointed. I said to myself again, you are so flat chested. No boy's ever going to admire you. I'm so skinny, ugly, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not sexy like other girls. I was so disappointed with myself. It really hurts when my friends call me flat. But I always said to myself, it's okay. But in crying at night in bed, it's not okay. It's hard to live in the society with full of judgment because of one person without good physical appearance. Every day I used to Google how to get fat. I always ask how skinny girls can gain weight. I tried every food and vitamins to increase my weight, but I'm disappointed. I got hopeless. I felt tapped out mentally, physically, and emotionally. Each time someone called me stick body, it broke my heart so much. Those two words, stick body, usually describe me. But suddenly, I realized that all girls are pretty in their own ways. Although you have flat nose, flat chest, and skinny body, God created it with a reason. So stop comparing yourself to other girls. Start motivating oneself, confidence to better come up a good personality. So to all girls out there, you are beautiful enough with your imperfections. Embrace all your flaws because it makes you beautiful. True beauty comes up from within. And now I've started to embrace how I look. I felt so comfortable wherever I work in my body. I decided to wear what I want as long as I am happy. If you've been body shamed, my advice to you is to love yourself as you are. As long as you are healthy and taking care of yourself, there's nothing to change. When someone says hurtful comment about you, politely explain to them error of their ways. Educate them in your own way. There's only one thing to remember, that we are beautiful in our own way. It's important to remember that the issues of being thin, fat, flat chest, and flat nose, we are beautiful in our own way. Everyone who has a healthy body, whether it's on a thinner or curvier side, is beautiful. And the important lesson I felt true of myself. I make the decision to accept all parts of my body and make the effort to treat and talk to myself like a best friend. I am Karen May Pinamako. I am a student, a public speaker, and a motivational speaker. Genuinely love yourself because self-love is powerful and the best love that you will ever have. Be proud of who you are. Thank you so much.
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so.
People were scared to fail, they don't even try to try. As early as now, I set my mind after I graduate college around my 20s. I'll be working in my dream job, starting a business, traveling. I set my timer of what I'll be doing for the next years of my life. I rush things maybe because I want to have time. Achievement that I will be able to say to myself that I achieved things. I achieved my dreams and goals without regret. Young generation, millennials and Gen Z, we always have this lot of regrets. What if I didn't make it? What if I didn't do that? What if I didn't do that? But we forget, we never forget, and we step back to as is part of us, of who we are now, and the most important thing is the present. I've become afraid of failing, because for me, being part of this generation of failing means that you waste your time, devoting your life to something that will not succeed and to something that will not work in the first place. If you really want to succeed, you have to go through the process of failure and rejection. I remember when I was in senior high school, that's our Bloomberg recommendation. The speaker, Mr. Dennis and President, CEO, and managing directors of different companies told us that they would never hire our generation, millennials and Gen Z, because we are very emotional generation and word sensitive. And when the millennials is inside the workplace, they are easy to feel hurt, and it's easy for them to show what they really feel from something they hear and they see. And also, it's easy for them to quit their job without even thinking because they are very emotional. But maybe the effect of being in a world of innovation, technology, social media, internet, because we believe in whatever we see and hear without even knowing and seeing the others everything. Failure is a matter of perspective. If we think it is a failure, so we will fail. But if we think it is an opportunity, you open up a way for you to succeed. I consider failure as an opportunity to succeed. Why do I say that? Because I was grade 6 when I learned how to solve multiplication and division. The only thing that I knew back then was how to add numbers. Grade 5. I don't even know how to multiply two-digit numbers or 23 times 12. I think those times that maybe it's too late for me to learn because I don't even know how to start it. Many times I think I failed, especially in my studies. But I was back then eager to learn it, and I will start by knowing how to multiply numbers. Before the time comes that math problems, I will solve the very life problems. I realized that times that avoiding math will not make my life better because mathematics will always be part of my life. And that mathematics subject in grade 6 taught me many things like facing challenges and what your failures taught me to achieve my goal. That I know that will help me to step closer to my goal in life. And that is just one of my failure, and I was like facing and encounter. We always search and hurry, so when we fail to something, that scares us to try again because we think it must just meant for me. There is always emotional involvement because we sacrifice things, hard work, money, time, and effort. If something doesn't go the way we want, we lose hope. Wherein we think what we did, it always comes to our mind. Because being in this generation, we have to go through with the trends so that you will not be left behind of what's happening in the world or the social media. I was afraid of being criticized, to fail, experience failure, and rejection. But we don't see it and realize it that in the first place, rejection and failure is opportunity. As opportunity to improve, to change, to see a bigger picture where it doesn't succeed in the first try. Maybe I have to try again and again. Like the years back, she became the Miss Universe Philippines in her third try in the Philippines and succeed to be the Miss Universe in the world. Thinking of failing stop you from seeing the bright side of the life. So think. That's all. Thank you all for listening.
Down, yeah. I've been feeling so.
To my fellow students, I have one question for you. Kaya ba? Good day, I'm Chris Joy Villarina, and for today, I'll be talking about online education and its effects. First of all, if you were able to study this semester, I would like to congratulate you, because not everyone has a privilege to enroll during this pandemic. not everyone can afford the technology needed for e-learning, and I think that's one of the cons of online education. You see, most of the Filipino families are not stable financially, and so I think it's kind of hard to see and to say that this is for everyone. Second, if you missed 1 to 2 lessons, it's really hard to catch up, especially if you have social anxiety. Based on this article that I've read that is written by Miss Madeline, college students seem to be especially more vulnerable to mental health issues compared to other age groups. And experts believe that colleges should be investing more in mental health services during this time. Imagine 3 months in online learning. 3 students have committed suicide due to education-related problems. And people on social media are screaming loud to implement academic freeze. But let's go to the good side of online learning, shall we? Online education somehow works. Like printed modules and online classes may not be the same as traditional classrooms, but they work. The pandemic should not stop everyone from learning. Plus, distance education is the best option that we can use as of now. Also, some students prefer online education. Some of them say that it is less hassle, it is flexible. It just requires a certain skills like self-discipline, self-motivation, and communication skills. So in my conclusion, online education is okay. Students and professors are adjusting, and new experiences, exposure, and even lessons that can help us to mold ourselves more. It just needs to be balanced. Everyone should be approachable. Professors should be more empathetic and considerate, because not just because we're at home, that doesn't mean students have more time to do their schoolworks. Sometimes home is suffocating enough, and we just need to breathe. Let's just help each other out. Thank you for listening to my talk. Again, my name is Chris Joy Villarina, and have a good one. New experiences. Ang ingay naman ng studio. That not everyone can afford the technology needed for e-learning.
Sorry.
Some people needs to